I'm Grace Torie, and you're listening to That Girl the Podcast. Grab a beverage of choice and settle in, because the new episode is starting now. Hey guys, what is up? It's your girl, Grace Torie, and I'm back with a whole new podcast episode. In today's podcast episode, we are going to be talking about something that has been really heavy on my mind lately, as I've kind of been navigating some decisions that I've been making as I embark on a new year, since my birthday was on Friday, which we'll get into in our life updates. But with that kind of like coming, I wanted to kind of just reminisce on the past year, and with doing that, I just realized that there were some things going on with my worth or my self-worth, whatever you want to call it, that I was kind of letting happen, and I still am to a certain extent, that just are not acceptable. So I've really been just thinking it through and kind of wanted to share my thoughts on it. And if you are in a situation where you feel like you're not being treated like you deserve, or like your worth is being upheld, then like definitely keep listening, because I just want to give you my thoughts on it and the best way to go about like navigating those situations. So yeah, I'm kind of excited. I feel like it's going to be a little bit more of a emotional episode, since it's something I'm still currently going through. And even if I'm not like emotional on camera, I may be emotional in my head, or I may like slow down a little bit when I'm talking and take a little bit longer to think about how I'm going to articulate certain things, since I'm still thinking them through. So if I am a little bit slower with my speech or things like that, it's just because it's something that I'm kind of really in the thick in right now and haven't 100% come out the other side with yet, which I don't know if you ever will when it comes to like setting boundaries and establishing your worth. But yeah, that's pretty much what we're going to be talking about today. But of course, before we do, let's jump into our life updates. So today is Sunday. Like I said, my birthday was on Friday, so I guess I'll start there. My family ended up coming up, so that was really nice to see them. I got to see my grandparents, my mom, my stepdad, and then Josh also went to dinner, obviously. So it was really nice to see them and to get to talk to them and kind of just catch up with them. I don't get to see my grandparents nearly as often as I see my mom, and I honestly don't see my mom that much, even though she's like 45 minutes away, maybe like once a month. And we're super, super close. So whenever I get to see her, it's like a really exciting thing for me. And I think for her as well. Just because we don't really get to see each other as much as we used to, which, yeah, it just means a lot to me. So we did that. Yesterday was Saturday. Yesterday was interesting. I kind of wanted to treat Saturday like my birthday because I worked on my birthday. So Saturday I was off all day and had some plans later in the day. So I wanted to kind of just use that as my birthday. And I ended up going and getting my nails done. I ended up going to Sephora and spending way more than I should have, and going to Target and just like doing a couple things I really needed to do but hadn't for a long time. I also ordered I don't know, I feel like I really took this year to prioritize self-care. So like I said, got my nails done. I ordered my really expensive shampoo and conditioner that I haven't used in a long time, because I've just been like, no, I don't need that. Went and got like my fancy face wash and stuff, because I haven't used that in a while as well, because I was kind of like, oh, it's expensive, like I know it works better, but like expensive. But this year I was like, no, you were so much happier when you felt like confident, so we're investing in all those as a little birthday present to ourselves. So I did that. If you can watch, this is what my nails look like if you're watching. Is it gonna focus on them? I don't know if it is. It's like an ombre from like a nude to like a hot kind of Barbie pink. I don't know. I think they're really cute, kind of springy. I really like them. And I was really excited about them. So there's that. They matched my outfit last night too. Then I came home and cleaned, because my friend who is from back home, like one of my really good friends from high school, came up and spent the night. And then we went and met up with a couple of my other friends at the bars and just bar hopped, which was really, really fun. That's part of why I'm still kind of like dazed a little bit, because we were out till like 3 a.m., which is fun. Like I used to do that probably like 3 or 4 times a week. and I haven't done it in, I'd say, at least 2 years. Like, I've gone out, but not that late in a couple years. So, yeah, I'm a little like tired. I honestly didn't drink that much. I thought that I would probably like drink a lot more, but I don't know. Something like I drank way too much in Vegas. So now, like, I just alcohol, I'm like, ugh, like it grosses me out. So I had like one drink and then like half a shot, and I was like, yep, that's it, I'm done. But I still had fun. Obviously, I just danced with my friends, which is like my favorite thing ever. So yeah, that was really fun. And then today I've just been with Josh all day. We've pretty much been sleeping. My friend left this morning, and then Josh and I have just been asleep. I wanted to go see my horse because I try and see her every weekend. But we're under a freeze warning until tomorrow, which is really weird because it's been really hot here. But then, like last night, it was cold, and this morning it was cold. So, love that for me. Um, but that pretty much catches you up to speed. I slept all day and I was like, I really need to get this podcast episode up. So, I just wrote my outline, and here we are. And after this, I'm going to edit it and get it up for you. And it'll hopefully be up tonight if we have no like technical issues. Only time I really don't get it up on the same day is if I have like an emergency and have to go to like somewhere really far and it takes up all my time, or if I have a technical problem where like my platforms aren't syncing or YouTube doesn't want to work or whatever. One other thing is I was so mad. I had to get gas on my birthday, so like Friday morning before work, and I dropped my phone at the gas station and totally shattered the screen. So I'm not very happy about that. I'm actually mucho upset. I haven't had a cracked screen since like my junior year of college. Um, and I immediately got a new phone, so I'm gonna get it fixed. I have an appointment to get it fixed on Saturday, and then I immediately ordered a Casetify case to come in, which I know that's kind of like an influencer like brand, so people don't really know whether to like trust influencer brands or not. But Casetify is an OG. Like, I love Casetify. I've had them for years, and the one time I don't have a Casetify case on, my screen shatters. So I will never not have a Casetify case on again. I've never had them like break or anything. I will keep one on my phone for like a year, and the only reason I'll get a new one is because I'm just over the design. But this is not sponsored at all. I just like, guys, if you don't have a Casetify case on, get to it. I know they're like $40 to $70 depending on what you get, but they're well worth the money, and they last for like ever. Not even kidding, forever. So yeah, I'm really excited for mine to come in, and it has angel numbers, and it's gonna be a good time. But that's pretty much all I have for updates. I guess now we're just gonna jump on into the video. For some reason, my throat's like drying out a lot, so if you can hear it, I'm so sorry. I don't know why it's doing that. Okay, so let's talk about our worth and what we can do to kind of honor ourselves in our worth and maintain it with our friendships, our situations we're in, anything like that. So, what kind of sparked this all is what I mentioned. I've really been just like confronted with a lot of situations recently where I've really had to just dive deep inward and ask myself if I'm being treated like I deserve, if people are valuing me and seeing my worth as much as I see it. And I think that in these moments, as well as previous to like recently, like throughout my entire life, I've always tended to approach these situations with the mindset of like, oh, they'll change. Oh, I'll change. What can I do to make them see my worth? Like, how can I work harder or show it more? How can I change them? How many chances should I give them? And how should I approach the situation? Like, I'm very flexible, I think is a good way to put it. Like, I'm like, I kind of look at my worth and I'm like, how can I bend it to fit this situation? And I just want to talk about that. That is the whole episode, is this topic, because I feel like a lot of people do this as well. And your self-worth or your worth or how much you deserve or how well you deserve to be treated is not negotiable. Honestly, like, it's not something that you can bend to fit a certain situation or you can change. Like, it's very constant, and it's probably higher than you honestly think it is. Like, you probably see yourself with a lower self-worth than what your worth actually is. Like, you are much more amazing than you give yourself credit for. So don't bend it. Like, sis. So basically what I want to say is I didn't even realize I thought this way until recently. Like, it did not really cross my mind that I was doing this until I really started to think about it. Because, like, for me, when people talk about toxic relationships, they usually are referring to romantic relationships, sometimes friendships, but usually romantic relationships. And Josh and I, like, do we fight sometimes? Yes. Sometimes do we say something that, like, isn't appropriate, or, like, isn't the perfect thing to say, like, isn't the nicest thing that we could have possibly said? Yes, but it's not to the point that it's concerning. Like, we have a line that we don't cross, and we're human. Like, we're not perfect. So I'm not by any means being like, oh, Josh and I's relationship is perfect, it's not toxic at all. Like, no, nobody's perfect. There are certain times when, like, we do fight and things like that, but for the most part, I don't consider it a toxic relationship. So I kind of just thought, like, oh, toxic relationships don't apply to me. Like, I'm not in toxic situations. Hold on, my bunny found the treat box. I wouldn't say that all of my friendships are 100% not toxic, but they're just not my top priority right now, is like weeding out toxic situations. So I mainly just thought about, like, mine and Josh's, since we see each other and we live together and we're together so much, like, oh, if our relationship isn't toxic, then I'm fine. But that's not true. Like, there are toxic situations everywhere, and if someone isn't treating you like you deserve, but they're still stringing you along, or they're still, like, if you bring it up and then they kind of push it off, like, if you're not being heard or treated with respect and like you deserve, then that's not a good relationship you should be in. And that doesn't just go for a relationship with, like, a romantic partner. That can be platonic, that can be family, that can be friends, that can be a work relationship, whether that's with a boss or another colleague. Like, there are so many situations that I am just really been thinking about and diving into where your worth can come into question. I mean, you walk out the door and your neighbor can say something to you that doesn't align with your worth. And I'm not saying to get that granular, and, like, little interactions that don't necessarily treat you with the respect that you deserve, look at those and be like, hey, I'm worth more than that. Like, that's not what I'm saying. But for the ones that are super important that you have to navigate, like friendships, family, work, and your romantic relationships are probably the top four. Those definitely need to be addressed. So the first thing for me was realizing that toxicity or red flags could be in more places than just a romantic relationship. But I I also realized that I know my worth. I think I do. Like, do I question it sometimes? Do I have self-doubts? Do I think that I'm not as great as I am a lot of times? Yes, but for the most part, it's intrusive thoughts. Like, at my default state, I know my worth. Like, I know that I'm worthy of being treated with respect. You are too. Like, everyone is. I know that if I ask a question, I am worthy of being answered, whether that's immediately or not, like getting an answer. Like, there are certain things that I think all people have the right to the right to receive respect with. And those are just some of the things, like being treated like a human being, like you have thoughts, feelings, and um, new ideas to bring to the table. So I've just really been thinking about that, and how majority of the world has lost the decency to treat others like they deserve. Like, this is not, I don't want someone to think they're a bad person, or I don't want you to think that someone else is a bad person because they don't treat you or haven't treated you like you deserve to be treated. Because I think that it is an issue that has been passed down, and I think that it's so insanely common in the world these days for no one to be treated with respect, because we're all running around. No one's really like taking the time to hear each other out, talk to each other, get to know each other. And we live in a very selfish time where people are so worried about their own anxieties and their own problems and getting their own checklist and agenda done that they don't take the time to think about anybody else's. So if you have mistreated someone and not really seeing their value or their self-worth, you're not a bad person, but it is something that you need to seriously work on because it's not okay and it has lasting impact on people's self-esteem, on people's how they view themselves, like how others view them, how they walk across the earth, their confidence. These are all things that are heavily impacted if you allow yourself to be treated like you don't deserve, like less than you deserve. So, as I kind of alluded to, what I'm getting at is I like to question my own self worth when someone else treats me like I am less than what I see myself to be. So, if I see my self worth as like a certain point and then they treat me like less than half of that or 85% of that or, lower, then I start to question, well, maybe I'm not as great as I thought I was, or I'm not as essential to a certain situation, or I'm not as caring, or I'm not as, kind. Like there are certain things I start to pick apart. And the whole point of this is talking about how we need to stop doing that. We need to stop bending our worth when someone else insinuates that it's not where we think it's at. And we need to realize that our self worth is non negotiable. What you think your worth is at is where it's at. Like I said, it's probably higher than that actually. But you will find someone who respects that and treats you like you deserve in any situation. It's just possibly going to take longer than you want because of everyone just being so caught up in their own lives these days. But the person is out there. Like I have absolutely 100% faith that you will be treated like you deserve by a romantic partner, a friend, a work situation, whatever, your family, or who you choose to be your family. Eventually, if you allow the door to stay open to that and stop giving into situations where you're okay with being treated less than. I kind of glazed over this and didn't address it, so let me go back for a second. If you know your self-worth, stop questioning its legitimacy when someone else fails to see it, first off. That's what I want to say. But if you don't know your self-worth, why don't you know it? And I'm not saying you need to sit down and make a list of pros and cons and say, oh, well, I'm really good at math, so that's like part of my worth. Like, but I'm really bad at English, so like that's a -1. Like, this isn't a mathematical thing. This is how kind are you? How charitable? I don't even know. Like, your self-worth is made up of so many things, so I don't want to box it in and like give examples, but it's not from like a career professional standpoint. You do have certain things that you offer from those, and it does add to your worth in a professional place, like when it comes to your what's the word I'm looking for, like value, necessity, no, your like what you bring to the company or whatever. But if you're looking at it from like people being your friends, people loving you, people dating you, how people treat you, everyone deserves a bare minimum of being treated well. And if you are not being treated well, even if you don't know your self-worth, I guarantee you that it's higher than that, even if you don't think it is. But I really encourage you to take some time to dive into yourself, dig deeper, and learn your self-worth and what makes you so beautiful and unique and amazing. I think that another thing to remember when you're thinking about how other people treat you is that, and this is so hard for me to learn, I still think about it a lot, is everyone is not going to treat you how you treat them. So I go above and beyond in a lot of situations where I will give absolutely everything I have to do to do everything that I can for someone. I was going to say the bare minimum, but not like if I have the ability to give you everything in the world, give you $1 million, but that means that I'm gonna lose $1 million and lose everything in the world, there's like a 99% chance that I'm gonna do it. And I'm not even bragging because that's not exactly healthy. Like, that's not something to be proud of. It's just something that I do and I've really been working on because, like I mentioned, not everyone's gonna treat you how you treat them. So when I go out of my way to constantly do that, I get to the point where I expect everyone to do the same for me and to bust their butts to do anything for me and to just be there for me and, you know, give me the world if I ask, which I don't. I really don't. Like, I'm not the type of person to ask for anything, but you know what I'm saying? Like, you cannot expect anyone to treat you how you treat them. It's not that they're necessarily a bad person. It's not that they have bad intentions. They don't know how to treat you. It's just that they may have a different way of showing their appreciation for you. Or they may have a different love language. Like, Josh and I have different love languages. Mine is quality time. I like to receive quality time. That is my love language. And he likes to give gifts. So sometimes we have a disconnect and I have to be like, I really appreciate you buying that for me, or, you know, going out of your way to offer to buy that for me, but I would much rather you just take a day off of work and let's go do this. Like, I kind of have to facilitate those conversations and remind him that just because he wants to give me the world in this way, that's not my love language. And I appreciate it. I love him. He's amazing, but that may not be like what I receive, basically. So I think that's really important to remember, because you can get really upset with someone and just get caught in this cycle of expecting them to treat you like you treat them and then get let down over and over and over. And it's just not fair to either of you. So you really just honestly need to... My bunnies are going crazy. So the best way to go about this and navigate this, in my opinion, is to communicate your needs with them if they're not being met. And this can be, like I mentioned, family member, friend, relationship, or in the workplace. Schedule a meeting with your anyone, whether it's a superior or a colleague or whatever. But in the end, you need to communicate. And I know that it sucks and it's not fun, and some people hate confrontation, so it's way easier said than done, but it's just one of the unfun adult part of life that we have to kind of hanker down and deal with. Once you do this, it's important to then see if their actions shift. You know, actions speak louder than words. If you talk to someone and say, and be very, very clear, outline ways that you feel you're not being respected or honored or celebrated, or, you know, if you feel like you are motivated differently than how they motivate you, if you feel like your love language is different, whatever you need to do, line how it's not being met, use examples, and then line out ways it can be met with examples and ways that you receive whatever you're looking for. And so it's very clear. Make sure there's no gray area, or, you know, make sure that whoever you're speaking to understands. But then after that, see if their actions change. And to give it, you know, I usually give it a week, 2 weeks. 2 weeks if it's a very, very important situation. 1 week if it's someone that I'm like very casually friends with, like we're not too deep into a friendship, we're not like best friends or anything, and it's just already like, you're not really, But I think if you don't see that change, if you do, great. You may need to remind them from time to time, but if you do, you know they're capable of changing and it's worth sticking around. But if not, it's not an opportunity to compromise your worth. Do not compromise your worth at all. You need to stop doing that. You need to set boundaries. You don't necessarily have to drop them out of your life completely, but definitely put them at arm's length, set some boundaries, and I promise you it's for your mental health. Change is scary, and I think that's the most common reason, in my opinion, why people stay in situations where they feel they're not being valued, is because fear of the unknown. Like, change is scary. You don't know what's going to happen when you leave that situation, and maybe there's someone you do really, really care about and you don't want to lose them, but you also don't like the way they're treating you either. But if you're being treated poorly for any more seconds after the moment you realize it, like, if you continue to be treated poorly, that is not acceptable. Not acceptable. It's not acceptable at all. But if you realize it and then continue to stick in it, sis, what are you doing? Like, get out of there. You deserve so much better. You deserve the entire world. So you have no choice sometimes but to hop on the train of change. Even if it's scary and you don't want to leave and you love that person, I promise you the other side is so much more beautiful. And like I said, there's someone out there who's going to treat you like you deserve in all of the 4 areas of your life that I mentioned. You will find a situation where your love languages align, or your working styles align, or, you know, family's a little bit more difficult because you can't just like leave family. Like, they're your family, but you can choose family sometimes. Basically, to wrap this up, when one door closes, another one opens. And in order to be ready for that open door, you have to close that one first, even though it's scary and hard and you may hate it. But one other thing I do want to say is don't leave yourself out of the equation. Like, I'm talking about how some people don't treat others great, but I want to remind you to be aware of how you are treating other people as well, because you contribute to this as well. Like, if you aren't treating people like they deserve, with even the basic limits of respect, you may not know someone that well, but if you don't give them the basic bare minimum of respect, then you are part of the problem. Love you, but sis, someone had to say it, and I really encourage you to look inward and work on resolving that within yourself and treating people better, because it's just awful. Like, I just look around the world and it makes me so sad. Like, I look around at all the situations happening and how people treat each other, and it makes my heart sad. So yeah, that's literally it. We're almost right at 30 minutes, but I'm probably gonna have to cut some stuff out because I've said a lot that is like and weird things. I've rambled a lot and the bunnies have made some noises. So yeah, this wasn't short when I started it. It's just gonna be short after I edit it. So keep that in mind. So sorry. This is a little bit of a longer or heavier topic, so I hope that something resonated with you. If it did, you want to talk about anything, my DMs are always open. You can follow me on Instagram and TikTok at thatgirlthepod. If you are on if you are on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, please leave a rating or review. Literally, all you have to do is tap those 5 stars, and that means the world to me, gets my podcast out to more people, and our community grows even more. I would love you forever if you do that. Also, on any platform, if you're not already subscribed, following, collect, whatever the fancy word is, girl, what are you doing? Join the community. We have new episodes every single Wednesday and Sunday. I am on the Tickety Talk. I am on the Instagram, and I try to post on there as much as possible. I am just here to facilitate a community of girlies who are all working towards our goals together. You may have a 9-to-5 or a situation where you can't just like go gung-ho all the time. Like, I love the podcast. Podcast is my whole world. I also have an Etsy linked below. But I also work full-time. I work 8 to 5 every day. So I'm here to be that voice in the community that is like more of a quote-unquote normal lifestyle that shows you that anything is possible. So with that being said, I'm gonna go. I hope you guys have a great Sunday night if you're watching this on the night it comes out. If you're watching this on any other time or day, I hope you have a great morning, afternoon, or night. And I will see you guys on Wednesday with an all-new episode. All right, bye guys. Love you.